Hey, Mom. So I am so excited to bring you this interview with Stephanie Smith. She is a mom of two boys, and she currently works in the corporate field while doing a side hustle from home, and that is to help her husband build their accounting business. So her and her husband work at their bookkeeping business that is focused on helping small businesses. So I wanted to really talk with her about like that in-betweeny stage of being a mompreneur where you still are torn between the corporate office job and your side hustle from home. So we get into all of that. And she also gives some great budget uh, tips or budgeting tools. Um, Let me rephrase that. Let me say this correctly. She gives some great tools that she uses in her business that are for small budgets. So I've never heard of some of these. I actually took notes as she was telling them all to us. So I hope that you get as much out of this interview as I did. So let's get into the show. Hi, Stephanie. Welcome to the show. Introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do.
Thank you for having me. My name is Stephanie. I am quite a few different things. I have a lot of different roles. So as a day in my day job, I am an instructional designer in a corporate office, which means I make training for people. And on the side, I also help my husband. Me and my husband started a virtual bookkeeping business. So I do bookkeeping on the side. And on top of that, I am a mom of two little boys, hashtag boy mom. But so my life is kind of full and I've just got a lot going on.
And what are the ages of your boys?
I have a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old.
Okay. So I wanted to really talk about that in-betweeny stage of starting a business with you because I don't think it does not get enough coverage. And so and I think uh as a mompreneur it's probably one of the hardest stages to be in because you still are you still working? Is it full time in your corporate job?
Yes, I work full time.
Okay. So you're still giving 40 hours a week there, but
Yes,
then you're also, how many hours a week do you give to helping with the bookkeeping business?
all the rest. Depends on the week. But lots of evenings after bed, many weekends, sometimes early mornings, lots of extra time. Yeah.
So, okay. So everything else. So I don't even know, like, where do I want to start? So how do you manage that? Let's start there. How do you actually manage? Because 6 and a 3-year-old son, those are still like young ages. They still require a lot from you. So how do you manage corporate side hustle that you hope that you want to turn into full time and mom?
It is definitely a lot. And I would say like the business growth is just small, like slower than it could be. Like my husband and I have talked, maybe I should quit my job and just focus on this. And we're just not there in a financial place that would even be possible. So it's challenging because there's definitely mom guilt from my 6-year-old who's don't work today, no work on the weekends. Are you done working yet? Like he sees because I work all day. And I work from home primarily. So he sees me at home working a lot. And then any extra time that I spend on the bookkeeping business is yet again more work. So I'm getting better at prioritizing. My husband and I have been talking a lot about let's make our lists. What important things need to get done and completed this week, and what can I focus on to make progress. And then every so many weeks, it's usually a weekend of doing social media stuff. I'm the one who does all of our social media stuff. So that takes a little while and a lot of effort. Marketing is the worst. um, so that just kind of gets tagged in there whenever I can get to it, kind of.
So, how did you guys come to this point of wanting to start your own business? We'll start with that question. I have a lot of questions, so I don't want to
Yeah, and
bombard you.
I feel like it's kind of we're kind of unique. So my husband is a stay-at-home dad and he's home all day with the kids. I love my children. I could never be a stay-at-home mom. So I'm grateful for him, but I actually got advertised to online for a virtual bookkeeping, like do this while your kids take a nap, and it sucked me in because my husband used to work in retail, long hours, all day. And he loves spending time at home with the kids. And we love having him home with the kids instead of having to put them into daycare. So the bookkeeping thing was like, this is legitimately something we could do where you can get back in the workforce and still be able to spend time with the kids. Like it was a good option. So we kind of ventured out into this world of the unknown, and we have lots of ideas just between the two of us of how we can grow it to where I could also, potentially quit my job one day, and this will be what our focus is. And we'll just grow it to the point where, we can run our own business and have the flexibility of working for ourselves to spend time with the kids and go travel and stuff, instead of being tied to a company.
Right. I think any mom who works from home, like we have that idea of, I would love to just sit on the beach in the hammock, while the business runs itself.
Yes.
Although I don't know any mom who's actually there, but
That's the dream, right? One day.
okay. So what are some of I guess the most difficult challenges that you face at this in between stage? Yeah, just tell us what it's like to be at this in between stage and how you kind of overcome those different things, the good and the bad. We'll take it both.
I feel like my biggest challenge that I deal with is, and I have struggles around how much do I put myself out there that I'm trying to grow this business while also working. Like, am I allowed to do this? Like, I don't want to get in trouble. I have this deep down fear that my company is going to be like, you're fired, right? Like,
Right.
or I don't want them to think that I'm not doing my job during the day and that this is what I'm doing instead of doing my actual job. So I'm very cognizant about that, especially like social media posting. So I actually use a social media poster. I use Social Bee to post on my behalf because I just want there to be absolutely no excuse of I didn't post this in the middle of the day. And I feel like that's such a stupid thing to be concerned about. I'm sure nobody is even watching my social media from my company, but that's one of my concerns. In addition to my corporate job is not bookkeeping. so, so I don't want to lose myself from what I do for a living, for full time. So it's like the mix of how do I brand myself as a bookkeeper and also keep my identity for what I do in my corporate life. It's like this, I feel like I'm living a double life sometimes. From
Your secret identity.
my secret, my side hustle as a bookkeeper. And it's not the same. So that's definitely a struggle of mine. In addition to the extra work, like I mentioned before, the mom guilt is so real when your kid comes up to you and just says, please don't work, spend time with us. And stuff has to get done regardless of what it is. So that's definitely a struggle of mine as well. But I feel like on the positive side, I know that we're growing something that can be big if we want it to. And it's cool to see it come together, right? Like you're launching something that didn't exist before, and we've learned a brand new skill set to do this, and I'm learning how to do sales and marketing and all of this online business things that I didn't know before. So it's been fun to learn, and just hopefully one day we have this life of that has that flexibility you're looking for. Like maybe we don't work on Fridays and or whatever hours you said, like we take more vacations and have that flexibility. So knowing that if we put in the work now, that when our kids get a little older and they can actually remember the things that we're doing together, right, like it will matter more then.
Right. When they're 3 and they're like, I don't remember doing that.
Right. Like we're definitely like, we're not bringing our kids to Disney World until they remember that they've been to Disney World.
Yeah. So how long have you been doing the bookkeeping business? Like, when did you start it?
We started December of 2020. December
Okay.
2020. So it's been, last year was our first full year. And it's been a very slow growth.
It's the slog. That's what I call it. You're just kind of slogging your way through.
And it's been hard too, because we have the kids at home. So my husband, one of the other challenges we have specifically with me working is if we have meetings with people, it's like, okay, I have to like block off my schedule, or neither of my kids nap. So there's no nap time. So just making sure we have clients, our ideal client wouldn't care that, my child is screaming in the background or that you're compatible with people that way. So that's been hard. Like, how do you have sales calls when you have kids at home without having someone else to watch them? Or just, my kids are good. Like, this sounds going to say, I can plug them in front of the TV, and the moment you log on to a call, they're like, who are you talking to?
Yes.
I need something. Or there's one of them sitting on the other one's head and they're like screaming bloody murder. And that's definitely a challenge.
Yeah. My 2-year-old always walks around going, I want to say hi.
Right. Yeah. Who are you talking to?
It's like, not yet. Not yet. It definitely, like when they're smaller, because I have teenagers in the house too. So it's very easy for them to just take the kids for me. Like, I can do that.
Right.
But I do tell parents, like with young children, like it may not be a bad idea every once in a while to get like someone to come and help, because it's hard. It's really hard when you have young kids.
Yeah. And we've talked about hiring a babysitter for a couple of hours a week, just so he can get more work done. And I can't say that I haven't taken days off work, or when we're closed for a holiday, like instead of telling my kids I'm off for a holiday, because they don't really know what holidays are anyway. Well, obviously not like Christmas, but
Right.
like the random Mondays off,
Yeah.
I'll spend the day doing bookkeeping work instead. So they don't really understand that I'm working instead of taking the time off. It's definitely a challenge.
Right. So where did you start looking for your clients? Like, since you're still young in the business. So where did you actually like start looking for clients?
So our very first client was, and still is, my mother-in-law.
Family is great.
Yes, she sells paparazzi, which is $5 jewelry, if you've never heard of that. And we really wanted practice, right? Like we didn't have any bookkeeping clients at the time. So we just embraced that. We learned more from her and her business than we would have ever imagined. So that was the first place. Obviously, we went to friends and family. She's the closest family that we have that had a business that was willing to, let us take their books off their hands. And then from there, it was kind of like, let's see, our next client came from, I volunteer with the Atlanta chapter of ATD, the Association for Talent Development. I'm on the board. So everyone on the board knew I was doing this just because we would get together. So the next step was really like, who else do I know that's around me? So our next client came from someone else on the board. So he knew who I was. We had worked together previously. He knew my work ethic, and he had hired us for a little project on the side and then hired us full time for bookkeeping. And then from there, it's been referrals, either from current clients or for bookkeeping. With QuickBooks, we're QuickBooks Pro Advisors. So we get a Pro Advisor profile, and we've gotten leads and stuff from there or for the Zoho page.
Okay.
If you know anyone looking for a bookkeeper. But I believe you also do bookkeeping, right?
I do.
Yeah. So struggle
but
well.
It is very much, I actually because I did it in corporate and I hated it. And so I was like, I'm never doing this again. But then everybody was asking me if I would do it. And I'm like, let me give it a shot. Like, let me try again. And I'm like, I actually kind of like it because it's very independent. You don't necessarily have deadlines. You have certain things that have to be done at certain times, but for the most part, you can make your own hours. And once it gets done, so it does give, for all the moms out there, it does give you a ton of flexibility.
Yeah. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be done in the middle of the day.
Right.
You can get your projects done in the extra time. So it's definitely a good gig if you like it. My husband always said, this is the best business for you, because I actually have a math background. I went to school to be a math teacher, and I did that for a year, right around the economy tanked in 2008, 2009, and I ended up getting laid off. And I was a horrible teacher, so it wasn't for me, which is how I ended up in the corporate world. But I love math. And as much as I push back on him, no, this is not something that I just stop saying that. I actually really like it. I like it's so much in problem solving. Right. I like everything to be in its place. I'm like the type A person. So it's a very good type A kind of job. And I've actually really enjoyed doing it.
Yeah, it is true. Everything in its place is perfect.
Yeah.
No,
you don't have attention to detail. It's not for you.
Okay. So what advice would you give a mom who wants to venture into this entrepreneurial world?
Oh, I feel like, and I've been watching a lot of videos and trainings and stuff. And I think the message that I hear and that I feel like I really agree with is you just have to get started. You just have to try it. I think we as women tend to doubt ourselves a lot, and we're not willing to fail, and we just think we're going to be a failure, or we're not going to do it right, or whatever it is. But if you never try, you'll never know. And you have to start somewhere anyway. One video I watched recently was like, you just have to get over the fact that you're going to suck. You're going to suck when you get started, and then you'll get better at it. So as long as you're okay with the baseline, you'll get better, and it'll grow into something bigger, and always keep learning. If there's not, for me, I feel like if you don't know something, Google is your friend.
Right.
It's all out there. It's all for free usually. So just get started and don't feel like you can't figure it out or find out what you need to do.
Yeah, that's true. And actually, all of the moms that I've interviewed so far, that's kind of been their advice, just start somewhere. And it is so true. You just need to, one of the moms said, and I'm probably going to keep quoting it over and over again. It's better to do the, the imperfect thing rather than the perfect thing that you never do.
Right. Yeah. And I struggle with that. One of my personal challenges is I like everything to be perfect. And, I struggle with that analysis paralysis for one, and perfection. And I let that get in my way sometimes. And I have to tell myself, look at all these people that are doing it and it's not perfect, but at least they're doing something, right? They're running around you while you're sitting on the couch. So if you don't start it, you really would never know.
So do you recognize the paralysis by analysis in yourself? Because I'm totally that way. And it's usually my husband who has to tell me like, I think you're ready to go. You've studied enough. So do you recognize it in yourself or do you need an outside person to kind of push you along?
I have done a lot of like self-growth things this year for various topics. But I have learned to recognize like that with what I do. And from the instructional design perspective of what I do is very creative. But I have a very, again, type A, like I want everything to be perfect in the right spot. And sometimes just in my day job, that slows me down. So I know, like I always known that about myself.
Right.
But when it comes to the business, I do struggle with that because I want things to look perfect or I want them to be a certain way. And it will take me longer just to make sure it gets done. And um, sometimes I need to tell myself, like, just don't care as much. Like, it's a hard thing to do.
It is, but this is the quality that you want in a bookkeeper. Like,
Right.
this is the perfection. Like that is the quality that you want. So what are some of your go-to tools, whether it's for bookkeeping or even marketing? Because I think marketing, especially when you're the mompreneur, it really like I can totally relate to what you're saying. Like it is one of the biggest drags for me as well. And so whether these tools are for marketing or for bookkeeping, what are your go-to tools that you like to use?
Well, first of all, I should say that I am a very cheap person.
Okay.
I
Hey,
like to
we're
do things
starting
on the
out.
cheap.
Yes.
Yeah, like I don't have money to spend on a lot of things. So I mentioned I use Social Bee. I don't pay monthly for it. If you've never heard of appsumo.com, have you heard of appsumo.com?
Mm-mm.
That is my favorite place to go. But you have to be really careful because I sometimes have shiny objects like syndrome and I will look at things I don't need. But AppSumo will put out lifetime deals for some tools, so you don't pay a monthly fee. And as these businesses are starting to grow, they want to base that initial base. They'll put a lifetime deal out there. So I actually have a lifetime deal for Social Bee, so I don't pay a monthly fee for it. We also use they have some of their own original apps, but we use TidyCal for our calendar booking. That's again a one-time fee, which gives you, I think, almost everything that Calendly does at this point in time. They've made quite a few updates, and I think it's like $30. So one-time fee, and you don't have to pay every month. So we use that. I haven't gotten really into, we need to start doing email marketing, but generating lists and pages and everything. We started using SendFox, which is another AppSumo original. Again, one-time cost and not a recurring charge. So we've recently started using that. And then I'm trying to think, from like a bookkeeping perspective, our biggest tool is QuickBooks Online. We are also Zoho partners. I think Zoho is a great for anyone starting out because it's free if you make less than $50,000 a year in revenue. So I feel like if you can find it free or cheap, like why would you pay for something if you didn't need to? And then from like a marketing perspective, I know everybody's in love with Canva. And you can there's free Canva. I make everything of mine in PowerPoint.
Okay.
Like, I don't know. It's real basic. I think PowerPoint's much more easier to use than Canva. Now, what I'll do is I'll go out to Canva and find designs that I like, and then I just build them in PowerPoint with shapes and stuff. So, that's my secret from that perspective.
But it works. It really works.
Yeah,
Like I see a
yeah.
lot of people that use PowerPoint to do their KDP publishing books. And I'm like, how exactly do they do that? So, but my husband's like, no, there's tons of stuff in there. Like you could do a lot with PowerPoint.
It's funny you mentioned that because I just uploaded a planner to KDP last night. And I made it in PowerPoint.
You did? Okay.
Totally made it in PowerPoint. I was looking for a planner that combines work and personal, and I just couldn't find one that I really liked. And it also has I do self-care stuff like meditation and stuff throughout the day. And I was like, I'm just going to make one for myself. So I did. And I actually I know we're on a podcast, but I like printed it at like a Kinko's kind of thing. And then my husband told me, oh, did you know you can like make your own planners? I said, oh, no, I didn't. So I Googled a video and we watched it and I uploaded it to KDP whatever it is last night. I'm in waiting mode to see if it gets approved, but definitely made it in PowerPoint.
I've never tried it. I've usually used Canva, and then I'll use like different like Publisher and different things like that. So, okay, I might have to try PowerPoint.
You can do anything in PowerPoint.
So, final 2 questions. What is your favorite part of being a mom?
Oh, that's a hard question.
It is. There's seasons. So we can just like today, what is your favorite part of being a mom?
I think for me, I just love the snuggles and hugs and laughs. And I just love seeing my kids grow their personalities. Like my youngest one, he's so funny. He's really into Yoda. I don't think it's Yoda. Whoever the new little
baby Yoda.
Baby Yoda. We call him Yoda around here. He's 3. He doesn't know who Yoda is. But we had a Yoda pillow and he goes to lay on the pillow one night and he goes, don't squish me. And he's talking like Yoda or whatever. And I just crack up. Like, I don't know where you got this from. My husband has a sense of humor. It's not me. But those moments that are just like, they just bring me so much joy. So I love seeing their grow in personality, and they're just so smart, or whenever they're kind to people, and you just like, oh, I'm making a good human being. Let's hope it stays that way.
Yeah. It's those moments where you're like, I'm doing it right. I'm doing it right.
Yeah. Those are my favorite moments.
Okay. And so where can everyone find you?
Oh my goodness. Well,
list them all.
From a bookkeeping perspective, we are at AIO Bookkeeping, which is all in order is what it stands for. AIObookkeeping.com, or you can find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, Google. We're in all the places. Or me personally, I'm Stephanie Smith. So if you look for me out there, it might be hard to find me. But you can also find me on LinkedIn and Facebook. If you find the business, which would probably be easier to find, then you can find me pretty easy.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. And I'm so glad to have you here.
Thank you for having me.